Roxo Media House.
You are in the State of the Frogs with head coach Jamie Dixon. Brought to you by Railhead Smokehouse, Hub International, Dave's Hot Chicken, by Texas Health Resources, the Flying Tea Club, and by Cadillac. Now with the head coach, here is the voice of the Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Welcome into this week's edition of State of the Frogs. We come to you live from the Courtside Club here at TCU as Jamie Dixon's team turns their attention to postseason, starting with the Big 12 tournament. On Thursday, they'll take on the Kansas State Wildcats. It's an 8:30 tip at the T-Mobile Center. Here at Frogs Today, we're going to be with you all week tracking the Frogs through postseason. They go in as that number 6 seed, and we have lined up a very special show for you this week. Now, Coach Dixon's out on the recruiting trail. We got a lot of basketball to talk, though. As a matter of fact, Fran Fraschilla is going to join us here early on. Coach Fran, the former head coach of New Mexico, of course, Manhattan and St. John's, now the ESPN analyst, will break down this Big 12 tournament for us. Who does he like heading into this one? Kind of evenly matched, 1 through 10. We'll talk to Fran coming up here shortly. Our own Corey Santee, the player development coach, starts to look ahead to Kansas State, give us some insight into what the Frogs have to do to get back on track. And I say that because they had a tough one, of course, to end the regular season up in Norman, Oklahoma. 74-60, the final score. Frogs fall to the Oklahoma Sooners in the regular season finale. Out-rebounded, took care of the basketball, only turned it over 5 times, but Oklahoma was red hot from the start. And that start is what got the Frogs in trouble. Fighting back, trying to get back into this ball game, used a lot of energy. Never able to close the gap down completely. Jamie Dixon visited with the media post-game at the Lloyd Noble Center, and here's the head coach in his own words.
I'd say just walking up here, I mean, Oklahoma earned the win, we earned the loss. I mean, they completely outplayed us. Really, the first 5 minutes of the game, our defense was atrocious. They went 6 for 6 is what I had it on the first 6 possessions. So I dug a hole. Did some things better as the game went on, but obviously the hole was too substantial. We did show some fight. We got it down. We just out-rebounded a team by 14, or was it 18? 18 in the Texas game, 18, and now we just got out-rebounded by 15, I think it was, or 14. So, this is life in the Big 12, and this is what happened. So we got what we deserved, and congratulations to them, senior night. I mean, we've played against Groves before, and we've done a good job with him. I think he's kind of had 3 games where he hasn't done great. Well, he destroyed us today, and in every way. So he got the line all day long. I mean, they killed us at the free throw line. They killed us on the rebounding. I will say that we cut down our turnovers, but I think that was really, we were just so settling for jump shots, just not aggressive enough, and they're packing it in. And I will say that I thought we missed some shots around the rim that kind of just wore us down as the game went on, early and then even some late. But really early, I thought we came out shooting 25% in the first half, so that was another problem. So congratulations, Oklahoma. This won't kill us. I know we really, promoted this game, or not promoted, but talked about how important this game was. We still end up, I guess, we end up 5th. End up in the 6th spot, I guess, because of the tiebreakers, but tied 5th. But we really talked about this being a quad 1 opportunity for us, and talking about what it could mean, and but it just didn't get through. And I thought we had a really good practice yesterday. We seemed to prepare well. And then you go in today, you don't have the shoot around. We can't get in the gym, and didn't get in the gym last night, and I guess we've had this twice, so maybe that's the problem. We can't make layups in the new gym, I guess. But but our defense destroyed us. So give Groves credit, and Sherfield got some at the end. He kept going, and with our deficit. But it was. I looked at the first half. I think we had 1 made basket by other guys, and balanced scoring is our thing, and we didn't have any. So Damien and Mike shot a decent percentage. The other guys had made 1 shot. So a lot of things you can't explain. That pretty much covers everything.
That's head coach Jamie Dixon, obviously disappointed in that season finale, a 14-point loss to the Oklahoma Sooners. All right, the Horned Frogs with now 9 conference wins on the year. That matches their best in the Big 12. Turn their attention to Kansas State in first-round action. Corey Santee visits with us a little bit later on. But first, Fran Fraschilla, the ESPN analyst, joins us next. We start to break down the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament, which cranks up on Wednesday night. We do that next when State of the Frogs continues after this timeout.
This is Cowtown Headache Center, a neurology clinic that specializes in headache medicine. We offer standard oral medications, we offer trigger point injections, we offer multiple nerve blocks, we offer infusions both for prevention medication and for acute relief. My name is Andrew Levere. I'm a physician assistant that has a special certification from the National Headache Foundation in headache medicine. Patients are pretty shocked when I tell them we have tons of options for them and that we can do better than what they're doing. I don't just tell you, here's one medicine we're going to try. I'll give them options, and then ultimately we choose together as the provider and patient. It's very satisfying to know that we're changing people's lives.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best-tasting, sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPI drinks.com. Live happy, be happy, drink happy.
State of the Frogs rolls on right now with the head coach, Jamie Dixon. We thought we'd look ahead now for TCU. Later on in the week, obviously, the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament cranks up in Kansas City. For the Frogs, that means Thursday night against Kansas State, obviously. That's an 8:30 tip for that one. We thought we'd bring in, well, the resident college basketball expert, the number 1 guy in the country. We love him. Fran Fraschilla joins us from ESPN right now to talk about this tournament. I tell you what, Fran, we've said this before, and I think you and I have talked about it. You go into a Big 12 tournament thinking, hey, this could be anybody's tournament. But that really fits this year, doesn't it?
Never seen anything like it. You know, Coach Dixon and I have familiarity with the great Big East days, me in the 90s and the 80s, and him obviously in the 2000s. And there might have been some better teams, like with NBA guys. I can remember one year at Providence, Georgetown had Mutombo and Mourning, and Derek Coleman at Syracuse. So we've been a part of some great leagues, but from 10 to 1 and 1 to 10, right down the list, I've never seen a league with so much parity. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Oklahoma could get to the final of this tournament. Anybody can beat anybody. Everybody's vulnerable. Everybody, Brian's got great strengths and obviously some flaws as well. And it's been one of the most incredible conference seasons, I think, in basketball that we've seen in the last 25 years.
You mentioned the Big East days and the ACC powerhouse years. From top to bottom, though, is this the best league ever?
I think in terms of the strength of the league compared to other leagues this year and the parity of the league, I would have to say so. Now, you know, Jamie, Coach Dixon remembers 2011, I think the Big East put 11 teams in the tournament, but that was a league with way more teams. Mm-hmm. And what makes this league unique right now is the home and home. Like Kansas State gets whipped at TCU, and I mean whipped. That's probably the worst loss they had up until that point. And then they get TCU at home in Manhattan, and it's kind of a similar deal. Obviously, you know, I don't think Mike played that game.
Right.
But you know the point. The point is, like, this league is so competitive because of the round robin, double round robin. The coaching's incredible. You got 5 guys in the league, as I counted up, that have been national coaches of the year, including Coach Dixon. 5 guys that have taken teams to the Final Four. You got great players in this league because they develop in this league. Not a lot of one and dones in this league. Through the years, this league's been so competitive because of all the upperclassmen. And when I compare this TCU team, I think of those Jamie Dixon teams at Pittsburgh with the upperclassmen, the toughness, the defense, we're going to knock your block off and we're going to play sound basketball. And so I think this league's been – there's a lot of teams like that, by the way, in this league this year. It's been fun.
You and I used to joke, and you can joke about it now at TCU because of the success that Coach Dixon has brought here. It was unfortunate in the early days of the Big 12 that TCU didn't get to play TCU. This league doesn't have any guaranteed W's now, does it?
No, it's incredible. I mean, there's nothing in this league that has surprised me this year. I just did Iowa State's big win at Baylor. They were struggling, but we all know how good a coach TJ is, how good that upperclassman group is, and they rallied. And man, I mean, they looked like the kind of Iowa State team that we've seen often under TJ in 2 years. And so there's no weak link in this league. Hey, Oklahoma, this 10 seed, has 4 double-digit wins over the top 25. Think about that, including spanking Alabama. And I don't mind ever saying that. No, number 2 Alabama at the time. They spanked them by 24 points.
You think about the coaching jobs that have taken place this year, and you can really start at the top. But this is not the most talented Kansas team that Bill Self has had, and to be able to win another conference title. You think about the job that Coach Dixon has done with 16 different starting lineups this year due to injury. I mean, you can really just kind of go down the list of this league, and you mentioned the fact that the coach of the years that show up, but I mean, they've done exceptional work this year.
I'm biased in that. I'm not biased particularly, but I'm biased in that I see the Big 12 so much.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this as a criticism of other leagues, but the coaching in this league is incredible, because a lot of times in this league, you kind of go to school on what the team that you played and beat you did to you to stop you. So you always have to keep adjusting, on the fly. You have to continually play a chess match with other great coaches in this league. And no disrespect to other leagues, but it's not quite the same.
No.
We know the talent is good. We know the competition is unbelievable, but the chess matches inside each Big 12 game are amazing, because if you don't adjust to your opponent, your opponent's going to get the best of you. And getting back to Bill Self, if it weren't for Jerome Tang's incredible job this year, I think Bill Self could easily have been a coach of the year in this league, because we know that teams that have schools that have great teams every year, the coach, Mark Few, Bill Self, Matt Painter, they don't necessarily get the credit for the job they do, but Bill did a great job. But honestly, Brian, I could say that about like everybody.
Yeah.
That's what's been so good about the league.
Well, and I think the other thing about coaches in this league that we have found is not only do they adjust in season, but you see them bring new things to the table every year. A perfect example is here with Coach Dixon. Spent a ton of time in the offseason on the transition game, and look how that's benefited TCU. Essentially a new look this year for the Horned Frogs.
No question about it. And I know Coach Dixon, obviously, he gets the bulk of the credit, but GC, Gary Christopher, did a lot of work last summer out in that indoor facility. And I remember the win at Baylor, as you do, early in the year. I mean, they never ran out of gas. And Mike looked like he was supercharged that night. And I think they scored 88 points. And that's when it really hit me, because I know when you talk to Coach Dixon, he's proud of the toughness. He's proud of the defense that he's known for. But he was very proud early in the year. He's like, hey, I think we're better offensively than people think, and he's absolutely right. And they got a lot of easy baskets this year because of the way they pushed it and ran. And I think they had to, because everybody knows they weren't a great 3-point shooting team necessarily. So they got a lot of easy baskets off their defense and in transition because their running game was so good. Maybe the best in the country in terms of fast break points.
You mentioned Mike Miles a couple of times, obviously second team all Big 12. You got Emmanuel Miller recognized as an honorable mention. But to me, the guy that has really kind of held things together once he got on the floor after having to miss the first 6 games of the year has been Damian Baugh. I love his game, Coach. I think he's a pro. I think he kind of fills the stat sheet. To me, he's a guy that's got a bright future in basketball.
Yeah, and by the way, the only reason Mike wasn't first team was because he missed the 6 games. We all kind of know that. But absolutely, I really like this team because I'm going to mention guys that people never even heard of who don't follow the league closely, like Xavier Cork is a terrific. He's like one of those NBA backup big guys that just plays with energy. Micah Peavy's had some great moments this year. You mentioned Emmanuel, Chuck O'Banning hitting a shot at Baylor, but Damian is. he's the co-pilot. I always say this, you're a very smart guy from what I know about you through the years. You're not getting on a plane from DFW to Paris with only one pilot in the cockpit, and the beauty of teams that have two great ball handlers or two great playmakers is it allows, in Damian's case, it allows Mike to take a mental health break during the game. And it's they play so well together. And when Mike was out, it put a lot of stress on Damian. And but he's done a great job. He's a great defender. He's a very good playmaker. He's great in transition. And I do think he's going to play basketball at the next level.
All right, I'm going to ask you to pull out your crystal ball, or maybe back in your era, that Magic 8 ball back when you were coming along.
The Ouija board. Let me get the Ouija board.
Exactly. How many teams from the Big 12 get in the NCAA tournament?
Well, 7 for sure, and maybe 8. 7 for sure. But I think 8. I think depending on what happens, this weekend. Oklahoma State is right there, man. They're right there. I think if they can beat Oklahoma and then get into the quarters and maybe make some noise, they would have 18 wins. They'd have 9 league wins. I think the last I checked, they're in the top 43 in the net. So I think it's reasonable that if Oklahoma State can get by, Bedlam, that it could be 8. And it's crazy, but I don't think this could happen. I wouldn't bet on this, but Texas Tech or Oklahoma could get to the final. They could. And, Coach Dixon knows when Texas Tech is healthy, man, there is, they were lucky enough to go out there. Not lucky, but they went out and played really well this weekend. But I think 8 is safe if Oklahoma State gets the job done. And if they still could sneak in if they don't get by Oklahoma. But if I'm Mike Boynton, I want to make sure I win that game.
No one breaks it down better than you, Fran. Always appreciate the time, appreciate the insight. Thanks for hopping on with us here today on State of the Frogs.
I will see you in Kansas City.
Look forward to it. There he is, Fran Fraschilla. More to come here, including Corey Santee stopping by. We'll talk about what the Frogs have to do in that first-round matchup with Kansas State next when State of the Frogs continues after this timeout.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
State of the Frogs continues now with head coach Jamie Dixon on the recruiting trail today. Gives us an opportunity to talk to Corey Santee, the director of player development here at TCU, as they turn their attention now to Kansas State. That first round game on Thursday night at 8:30. Frogs will head out here today to Kansas City. And now you think about this matchup with Kansas State. Before we get into details about their personnel, let's talk tournament time.
Okay.
Because there's a mental side to this, the mentality of heading into postseason. The slate's wiped clean.
Yes, sir.
Is that kind of what you're preaching with the guys right now?
Oh, 100%. It's a fresh slate. We put the regular season behind us. Now we're working about getting our mental ready, getting physically ready, and preparing to go for another season.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity, too, for guys to say, okay, maybe the season for me particularly didn't go as well as I'd like. I'm going to crank it up a notch or two. We see that time and time again. Guys rise to the occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we just want everybody to just buy in and play for each other, play for your brothers. Once we do that, and the team that we have, we're ready to face anybody.
Did you find yourself, when you were a player Hall of Famer, by the way, Corey Santee here at TCU, did you find yourself trying to pinpoint postseason and say, I need to be playing my best basketball come then?
You do, but you just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. You want to put everything you did behind you, whether it was good or bad. You want to make sure we all come together as a collective group and just move forward and play the best basketball that you possibly can.
We had Fran Fraschilla on earlier, and he was bragging on GC, Gary Christopher, about how he got this team prepared and ready. You've been through the grind of a season. You get to this point where you've got 30, 32, 33 games under your belt. Physically, how's this team holding up right now?
Oh, very well. Throughout the long season, it's going to be aches and pains, bruises. You might get a little sicknesses every now and then. But what Gary does well is make sure we have recovery days, a lot of stretches, a lot of bands without the weights and stuff like that, talking to them, making sure they're mentally ready, and then to get them back on the court ready to go.
Yeah, he takes care of the physical aspect. One of your jobs is to kind of take care of the mental aspect.
Absolutely.
And as you said, making sure everybody's together and on the same team. And this team has stayed together all year.
Yeah, absolutely. As a young man, you want individual success. You
Yes.
you have goals, reach the next level, no matter where that might be. But also, you got to make sure that we all on the same page. Go look at film, seeing what you did good, what you did bad, and then put it all together come tournament time.
Yeah, and you think about this team has had to be flexible. You know, what have we thrown through? 15 different starting lineups,
Absolutely.
you know, guys in and guys out.
Absolutely.
You got to hope that pays off in postseason, that ability to adapt to any kind of situation you
Absolutely,
see.
especially guys like Shahade Wells, you know, Xavier Court. They got a chance to get the experience and get to play more minutes that maybe they wouldn't have if we was all the way healthy, but they get to gain confidence. So we believe in them guys. They believe in themselves. Their teammates believe in them, and we're ready to come together as a full whole team.
Yeah, speaking of Wells, I mean, the other day, Frogs weren't playing great against Oklahoma. He comes in, knocks down a few threes, man, and shot it confidently, I thought.
Hade always been confident, though.
Yeah.
So now they get more minutes. He continued to build off that confidence, and when his name is called, he's ready to go.
Yeah. All right, let's turn our attention to Kansas State. Now, this is a matchup with the Frogs. K-State have split this year on the home court. Obviously, this is a really good team. Jerome Tang's done a nice job. Keontae Johnson's a tough matchup.
Yes, he's a newcomer of the year. Was a good player before he had that tragic, scare back in Florida. But we ready. We prepared. My thing is we beat them when we had fully healthy here. Then we didn't have Mike Miles and a couple guys short there with no excuses. They played well. But we're gearing to be fully healthy. We're gearing to be ready on the rock and roll on the right track. So we're ready to go, no matter who it is.
Yeah, Marquise Noel as well at point guard. He's a guy's a playmaker. He can penetrate. He can dish, but he also scores the basketball.
Yeah, scores the basketball. He passes well. He defends well. So we know what we got our hands full, but we're ready for it.
Yeah, this is one of those teams too that I think will play the tempo you want to play.
Exactly.
I mean, you've seen that you can get up and down the floor with them, and the Frogs have been best at that, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But our thing is once we get defensive stops and rebound, we'll be able to get in transition. So my thing is to the guys, let's not focus on offense aspect. Let's focus on getting stops in defense. It'll lead to our transition points and our offensive flow.
Yeah. How'd the guys react? You had two guys get second team all conference, obviously, and Mike Miles and Damian Ball. Then you had Emmanuel Miller as honorable mention as far as all conference is concerned. Teammates had to be proud of that.
Oh, super proud of them. I haven't got a chance to see these guys yet, but once we get back in the building, I know they're going to be excited. I text them individually, just proud of the hard work that's getting the payoff, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and as Fran said, we all know that if Mike wouldn't have missed those 5 or 6 games, he's a first teamer.
Oh, no, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, so this tournament, we were talking earlier, top to bottom. You've been around a lot of postseason tournaments. Hard to find one as evenly matched as this one.
Oh, absolutely. Every game, I mean, someone can lose, whether it's the higher seed or whatever. Every game going to be interesting. This is going to be probably the most exciting the Big 12 tournament has been, and we're looking forward to it.
Do you like that atmosphere in Kansas City?
I love it. You got to see your name all over the places, the billboards. That's what you work for, and that's what you do this for.
Right.
Just the excitement of March.
Right. Well, you were big game Corey anyway, right?
Big game C.
Exactly. I like it. I like it. Corey Santee joining us here. State of the Frogs here continues. Coming up next, Jamie Plunkett's going to be with us as we will talk about one of the local players here from Sulphur Springs, that of course being Xavier Cork. And Jamie will walk around with Xavier. They're out at Showmy Arena. We'll catch up with them next when State of the Frogs continues after this timeout.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Welcome back into State of the Frogs here this week. We mentioned Coach Dixon's on the road recruiting. Gives us an opportunity to dive a little deeper into one of the Horned Frog players. And right now, our own Jamie Plunkett is out at Showmy Arena. He's standing by.
Yeah, Brian, we're here on the court at Showmy Arena. We got Micah Peavy here, though. He's going to show off a couple moves here in a second. We've seen that spin move from him a couple times this year. But before we get into that, Micah, I want to talk a little bit about your journey to TCU, because you started out, playing high school ball at Duncanville for your dad. What was that like playing basketball for your father?
At first it was tough, it's hard for anyone to play for their parents. They think everything's personal, but once you get older, you just know what he wanted for me was the best. So then, towards my end of my high school career, I started to actually enjoy it, and actually I had my best years for my senior year because I just enjoyed it and I accepted the coaching that he was giving me, and I think it worked out.
How much did that strengthen your relationship with your dad overall?
A lot, actually. And you can see it. He's at every game, every home game, And, I can respect what he's telling me because I know he's a coach and I know he wants best for me. So whenever he tells me something after the games, I take it and I just try to apply it to the next game or the next practice. So,
okay.
Sure.
So out of high school, you went to Texas Tech, you spent a season there. What was that like transitioning from high school to the college game? What was the challenge that you experienced there?
Just everybody's good at, in the Big 12 and college basketball in general. Just the weight of everybody because, in high school I was the tallest on my team.
Right.
I was probably the biggest. I don't know if I was the heaviest, but I was one of the heaviest guys.
Probably most athletic, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But everybody's athletic, everybody's strong. So you just got to, honestly, when you first get there, when you get your first contact, you're like, oh, okay. So then you just get used to it, and then I think it just helped me grow as a player, and then you just become successful.
Okay, and then you made your way to TCU. We've seen what you've been able to do. How do you feel that you've grown here over the last couple of years?
I just feel like confidence-wise. This year I've shot a lot more threes. I think I'm just been improving my defense every year ever since high school because that's what my dad harps on is defense. And so I think that's why I'm such a good defender right now. And I just doing whatever my team needs me to do on the court to make us win.
Coach Dixon calls you the best defender on the team repeatedly. Does that give you motivation? Does that inspire you? How do you take that kind of feedback?
I would say, not motivation, but it's just I just feel like that's just something I just take and I try to be the leader on the defensive end because I know Mike or DB want to be they're the point guards of the team, so they're the offensive leaders. So I think that the defensive side of the ball, that's just something I can just help everybody because I think, like he said, I am the best defender. I think I'm the best defender in the country, but
you've got to kind of have that attitude though, right? When you're approaching that side of the ball, but you're shooting more threes as well because the coaches want you to shoot more threes. What has that been like to have their confidence in you out here on the perimeter?
Once you know the coaches aren't going to take you out for shooting shots or it just gives you confidence, and then all my teammates, they want me to shoot the shot every time, so I'm going to shoot it. That's what I do.
But when you're not shooting it, we've seen this pretty fun little spin move to the rim a couple times this year. You've gotten a lot more confidence, it looks like, driving to the basket. I want you to kind of walk me through a little bit. Let's break this down for folks and just show me what's your thought process as you're doing this?
So if I'm driving middle and the guy cuts me off, I'm going to just spin towards the baseline.
Okay, easy layup.
Yeah.
And if he stays between you and the basket though, he's kind of more true to this.
I'm going to hit. You can shoot the fadeaway off the spin too.
Okay. So who do you equate that fadeaway to? Is that Dirk or is that KD or who's the fadeaway guy right
honestly,
now?
Honestly, when I was growing up for the fadeaway type, I was looking at guys, Jason Tatum and stuff.
Okay.
I would watch his highlights, but since we're in DFW, I could say Dirk.
I'm a little older too, right? Dirk's my guy.
Yes,
Dirk's my guy. Okay, so we talked a little bit about on the court stuff, your journey to TCU and all that, but now I want to know, what does Micah Peavy do when he's not thinking about basketball?
That's not a lot because I'm always thinking about basketball, but I have a dog, so I have a little French bulldog named Pierre. Call him Lil P. So I'm always just chilling with him, or I actually just got a PS5 for the first time. I've never been about video games and stuff, so I'm trying to figure that thing out, and just some Netflix, hanging out with teammates, something like that.
There you go. All right, so when you're on the plane and you've got your headphones on, what are you listening to?
So on the plane and on the way to games and before games, I listen to Drake and J. Cole.
Okay.
Just some calm.
Right.
You got to. You know what I'm saying? He's just a calm rap. So,
okay. All right. Well, Micah Peavy, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
All right, Brian, we're going to go back to you now.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of State of the Frogs. Don't forget, we'll be back with you next week. We'll recap what happens in Kansas City and look ahead to the NCAA tournament for Jamie Dixon's team. That's next week's edition of State of the Frogs. Until then, stay dialed in at frogstoday.com for all the latest. The Horned Frogs on the road in KC with this Big 12 tournament. For Jamie Plunkett, our producer, director Jay Fitzgerald, I'm Brian Estridge. Thanks for joining us here as we give you another edition of State of the Frogs with head coach Jamie Dixon. We'll see you again next week.
Roxo Media House.